Welcome to Growing Your Team, a podcast designed for small business owners seeking to grow their company with the help of employees and contractors. Your time is limited, which means growing and leveraging teams is essential for business success. The Growing Your Team podcast is the place to learn tips and techniques designed to help you know when it's the right time to hire, how to select perfect fit team members, and how to maximize productivity while creating a positive work environment. Drawing from her 10-plus years of leadership and hiring experience, here is your host, Jamie Van Kuyk.
Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, I am answering the question, how to know what questions you should ask when hiring. This can be when you're hiring a contractor who's going to help you on a one-off project, a contractor or freelancer who's going to help you consistently month after month, or when you're hiring an employee, a full-time employee, a part-time employee, or a temp employee. No matter who you're hiring, you should always be asking them questions and doing an interview. Yes, even if you're hiring a contractor, most likely you're going to get on a call with them and they are going to try to sell you their services. However, you need to be prepared for that conversation as well and uncover if they're the right person for you. You need to have questions prepared to help discover, can they do what you need them to do? And to help you plan for these conversations, once again, whether it's an interview for an employee position or for a conversation with a potential contractor, I'm going to share with you 4 ways to figure out what you should ask during these conversations. So let's get started. First, when determining what to ask during your interview conversation, you need to select questions that help you uncover, can they do the job you need, instead of just figuring out, are they great at what they do? Because just because someone is amazing at the work they do, just because someone gets a lot of referrals, is well known in the industry, doesn't mean that they're the right person for you. So you need to figure out, is this the right person for your business, for your needs? So you need to develop questions that uncover this. If you don't uncover if they're right for your business, you might be hiring someone who is never going to move the needle forward for you. They might take your business down the wrong path. They might try to do things that are inside their expertise, and they can do really well, but it's not going to be the right move for your business. It's not going to be the right focus. And at the end of the day, you might be spending a lot of money on an expert who's going to fail to meet your expectations and fail to bring you the revenue or whatever else it is that you're measuring success by when you hire on this person. Second, you need to figure out if their communication style and work environment preferences match that of your business. So this is going to be a little different if you're hiring an employee versus if you're hiring a contractor. Because if you're hiring an employee, you have a little bit more control of what their environment is going to be like. You can tell someone that they need to come work at your office, or you have that control to tell them if it's a work from home position. When you're hiring a contractor, you don't get the same level of control, but there's some things that you can make sure that you're going to mutually agree upon. So let's look at employees first. So with employees, you want to make sure that they can operate in the environment of your company, that they're going to match your culture. For example, I'll give you 2 recent client examples of mine. So one, I was helping to hire a position that was going to be 100% remote, and we needed to make sure that the people we were interviewing wanted to work remote. Not just work remotely because we're in the middle of COVID, but wanted a remote position for the long term. And did they have the systems and the organization skills and everything else needed to be successful in a remote position? One of the other positions I was hiring for recently was with an office where the office is very open. There's a lot of noise going on. People don't have individual offices. So our need is to find someone who can work in this environment without being distracted or without feeling stressed out and overwhelmed because there's noise going on behind them while they're on a phone call. So you need to know what your environment's like and then hire the right employee for that. Now let's look at a contractor. So like I said, with contractors, you're not always in control of what their work environment is. However, some of the things you can figure out is, does their work environment overlap with your needs? So while you can't tell your contractor when and where to work, you might want to find out, does their business hours overlap with yours, their normal business hours? Yes, maybe sometimes they start work a little later or work later into the night or take off a day or take off an afternoon here or there. But if you are a 9-to-5 business and you want to make sure that when you guys need to jump on the phone or you need to schedule a meeting, that it's in your 9 to 5 hours, but they're in a different time zone and they work at night and there's no overlap, then you know that's never going to work for you, because one of you guys will always be compromising and working outside your business hours when you need to get in touch with each other. And depending on the exact position and what you need with each other, how often you're going to need to get in touch with each other is going to differ. So you need to figure out, does this work for you? But let's also look at communication style. Some people are going to be really comfortable just giving you updates all the time through email. Other people, email's not their comfort level. They'd rather have a quick phone call and talk face to face. You need to know, when it comes to communication, what are your preferences and what are you going to be happy with? So that way you get someone into your company that matches the culture you're creating, or you hire a contractor that's going to make you happy and meet your expectations because they can meet you eye to eye when it comes to communication and their availability. The third thing that you want to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what questions you should ask when hiring is, do they have direct or relatable experience working in your industry? So you want to make sure, can they succeed coming and working for your company? There's going to be some positions where it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you just need an expert in what they're going to do for your business. There's other positions that you're going to fill that what they can do for you and how they're going to succeed with you is going to be completely different and require a lot different knowledge than if they were working for someone in a completely different industry. So you want to make sure, do they have the background? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have what is needed to work in your industry? And remember back that I said direct or relatable. Sometimes you're going to find that there's people who haven't been in your industry before, but they have relatable experience, and you can uncover that they can connect what they did to what you need. So you need to ask questions that uncover, do they have the right industry experience? And if they don't have the direct industry experience, do they have experience that can translate well to your business industry? If they don't, they're not someone you want to hire. So you need to make sure you develop questions that uncover this specific information. Before we get into question number 4, to help you to determine what you should ask when hiring, let's take a moment to talk about the Growing Your Team membership. The Growing Your Team membership is an on-demand training membership and community designed to give you the knowledge and support to hire and manage your team successfully without having to do it alone or without having to hire a recruiting team to do the work for you. It is specifically created for the business owner who knows that growing a team and having a solid team is the next step for achieving their business revenue goals, but feels uncertain on how to hire, what questions to ask when interviewing, who to hire, and how to delegate and manage team members with ease. One of the most important features of this membership is that you get direct access to me through a private Facebook community and monthly sessions where you have the opportunity to jump on Zoom meetings with me where we can talk about your specific hiring and managing needs within your business. Which means if you are trying to hire somebody and you need help figuring out exactly what to ask during an interview so you can uncover these 4 important things, we can talk about your specific situation. Whether it's during that group Zoom call, or through the Facebook community, I can help guide you to the exact questions you need to ask and help you understand why each question is important to uncover one of these 4 things. The best thing about this membership is that it's a month-to-month membership, which means you can join when you need the support, and when you no longer need that support in your business because you're not hiring or you're not having problems with your team members, you can leave at any time. I invite you to come check out the Growing Your Team membership and learn more. So head on over to growingyourteam.com/membership to find out more today and join us and get the answers you need to make sure you are asking the right questions when you are going to hire a contractor or an employee. Now, let's jump back into today's topic and discuss the 4th question you need to ask yourself to help make sure you're asking the right questions when hiring. And that is, how will you measure success in the role? And do they have the skill set and competencies needed to achieve that success? So before you hire for any position, you need to know what this position is going to do for your company. I see too many people falling into the trap of hiring because someone else hired, or hiring because they think it's a sign of success. Well, hiring because someone else hired, or hiring because you think it's going to show that you're successful, is a mistake. It's one of the fastest ways to hurt your company and be unsuccessful. So you want to make sure that you're hiring when needed and that you're hiring the right person. And one of the ways you need to do this is know what you want out of the position. So now you know what you want out of the position. What should happen because you have this team member on your staff, or that you're working with this contractor on a consistent basis or for a one-off project? And once you know that, you then need to figure out how to determine if that person that you're interviewing has the skill sets or competencies needed to be successful, to be able to achieve the success for you. So how have they done this with past clients? How have they worked through similar situations? How have they overcome challenges that maybe you have experienced in your business? You need to know where point A is and where point B is and figure out, do they have the ability to do that? So you need to dive in deep on the competencies and skill sets that are needed to be successful, that are needed to help achieve the goals that you're setting because you have this position. And the way to dig deep is with the right interview questions. All right, so that wraps up really quickly our 4 ways to know what questions you should ask when hiring. So for a quick rundown of what we discussed today, when you're trying to figure out what to ask during an interview, you need to ask yourself these 4 questions, and they will help guide you to the right questions to ask during an interview. And if you need more help, come join the membership and I will help you. But those 4 questions that you should ask yourself are, can they do the job you need instead of them just being great at what they do? Does their communication style and work environment match what your business needs? Do they have direct or relatable experience working in your industry? And finally, how will you measure success in the role? And do they have the skill set and competencies needed to achieve that success? All right. So go think about these questions and start developing your interview plan, your conversation plan, so you can uncover if this is the right person for you, because you don't want to waste your time, effort, and money hiring the wrong person. So uncover what you need about every candidate or about every business that you're going to go talk to see if they're the right contractor for you. So that way you hire your perfect fit employee, freelancer, or contractor.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Growing Your Team with your host, Jamie Van Kuyk. Be sure to subscribe and head on over to growingyourteam.com to connect, access the show notes, and discover more ways to hire and leverage your perfect fit team.